Got my fresh beans here, and now we've got to snap off the ends here, like this and like that, okay? Then you take this right here and snap it into like a bite-sized piece about like that. Gotta snip and snap all these beans. It takes a while. This takes several hours just to do all these beans. It took us several hours to pick all these. Once we get all these snapped, then we'll wash them and put them in the bottles. So we've been working on this for about 5 hours. So quite a while. So we got here, this is a 9-gallon pail. The next step's to wash them. Once we get them here, just like to wash them like this. These have a lot of dirt on them because they were
just from the field.
Just came out of the field. There was a lot of dirt. We'll dump all the water out of there. So here are the beans here. These need to be washed. We washed these last night. Then here's the last of the beans. So she's gonna put them into here, rinse them for a second or a third time, and then they go into the bottles. These are beans that are on the stove getting up to pressure, and they are canning.
These are my favorite load of beans.
Why?
The stuff that sinks to the bottom are the young ones.
Here are clean bottles here. These have been washed and re-washed, sanitized in the dishwasher, ready to go. And then you're gonna need some of this pickling salt, lids of course, which are not easy to get right now. And then you need the canner. We have 2 canners. This is the All-American canner that we've been using for about 10 years. This is the Presto canner that we've only been using for...
This is the first time we've used it.
Oh, apparently this is the first time she's ever used it.
I found it at a thrift store not that long ago.
I don't know what she paid, but maybe 15, 20 bucks or something.
15 bucks for it.
$15. So this one here, we paid $3.50, but they've gone up since then. We bought it about 15 years ago. This is an awesome canner. You can put 14 quarts in here. We bought all our beans in quarts because we are a family of 4, the ideal number for a family. Okay, this is the last bottle to be filled. I missed filming all the rest of them, but basically just put the beans in there, put some salt in there, just fill them up. And how much salt did you put in there?
I only put a teaspoon, but that's kind of light.
So a teaspoon of salt. Just gotta make sure you get this pickling salt for preserving.
All this does though is it just makes it
This
so it's
doesn't
not,
have iodine in it.
right, it just makes it so it's not cloudy.
Fill the bottle all the way full, and then there's already salt on those beans.
Yeah.
Secret, folks, but she dumped them out for the camera.
I had them all filled. I put just at the, Connor showed up at the very end. I need to look how well those are packed compared to these. There's a lot more air in here. No air in that one. Look at that.
I'll do it.
So I fill the bottle about 3/4, maybe a tad taller, and then I gently tap.
Hey!
I gently tap in all directions, and then I finish filling it up. And then I usually go, the way I measure these things is I go to this line right here.
So just make sure you get it filled up to the line. The distance between the water and the top of the jar is called the headspace. Just want to put about a 1/2 inch of headspace in there.
A lot of the books tell you to hot pack these. I'm sure people are gonna be like, you're doing this wrong.
In what tone? That's the tone?
I mean, I am a stickler on doing canning right, or I don't dare eat it. I don't understand the purpose of the hot packing, and for that reason, I don't know that I can really support it. I don't get it. Like, you're putting everything in cold. You're putting in water cold. You're putting in cold beans.
No, you're putting warm water in.
So they tell you to cold pack the beans, and then they tell you to put hot water on top of the beans. And then you're supposed to put cold water in the canner.
So she's just trying to get the bubbles out. That's the main reason to kind of tap it. You know, like William Hung. She bang, she bang.
She bangs, she bangs. Oh baby, when she moves, she moves.
So then you just take the rag, wipe it really good. Make sure your glass is super clean and smooth.
These new lids tell you not to boil them. Okay. Lid, lid.
And then the rings. What's the saying with the rings?
You know what? I was just thinking of this.
So how tight do you put the rings on?
It's housewife tight, but I think my housewife tight is getting looser and looser. Like, I'm not even joking.
So are you a housewife?
I think I'm an old lady wife. I think I'm getting too old and
You don't have to put the He-Man twist on that sucker. You just put the housewife tight or whatever.
this is kind of a waste.
And you put them in there.
I don't really ever do this.
But basically you want to fill it up as full as possible, but we only have 3 left. So she's putting vinegar in there. That'll make it so the minerals that are in the water, when it boils, don't get all sticky on the pot and all that good stuff. But she's filled up this one with 14 quarts.
Yeah, I wish we would have shown that one because this one's cool.
Well, I showed it when we took the lid off.
This is by far the best canner. By far.
So that's the All-American Canner 930. I'll put a link to it down below or whatever. Mostly just use it for pressure canning. You can water bath can in there, but we use a different pot for water bath canning. But this is mostly for just pressure canning. Soups, meats, stews, all that kind of stuff. You put cold water in there, about up to here, okay? You don't have to overfill it. You don't have to put it all the way up to the top. You just fill it about maybe a quarter of the way full. After you put your bottles in, put your water in, get your lid on, you turn it up to full speed. And then you wait for this to start venting right here, okay? You can see the steam coming out right here. And that needs to be fully venting like this with steam for a total of 10 minutes. Once it's vented for a total of 10 minutes, and you use the timer and everything, and you put the weight on. This is the weight right here. 15 pounds, 10 pounds, 5 pounds. And you put this weight on there according to your elevation or according to what the book says. For us, we can at 15 pounds. For most people, you're canning at 10 or 5. We're just happen to be above 6,000 feet, so we have to can at 15 pounds. So it's been venting for 10 minutes. Now we put the weight on there on the 15 pound for us. This should start jiggling any second. You want to use this thing right here to make sure you're up to pressure. This gauge tells you about where you're at. Our canner jiggles at about 13 or 14 pounds, so it's about ready to go. And once it starts jiggling, then you turn on your timer and you pressure cook according to the book of however many minutes you need to pressure can according to the label. So the weight on the vent is what keeps this up to pressure right here of 15 pounds or 13. Now it's a game of adjusting the temperature with the heat to get this to jiggle. You want it to jiggle and then stop jiggling and then wait 3 or 4 seconds and then jiggle again. Jiggle, wait 3 or 4 seconds and start jiggling again. So you turn the heat up and down until you can get it just exactly right. This is the Presto canner. She just put the weight on there. This one needs to come up to 13 to 14 pounds. Once this guy's up to about 13 to 14 pounds with the weight on, then you start your timer and cook it for as long as your manual tells you to. Once it's done cooking, you turn the heat off and then you have to wait. You don't touch this. You have to wait till this dial goes all the way to 0 and then you can take this weight off, okay? Take it off like that. Let the pressure equalize, okay? If you take this off too soon, you can be in serious damage or do some serious trouble. Do not rush this period. Do not take the weight off before this is at 0. Do not take the lid off before this is 0. Do not do anything with anything until this is 0 on its own, with the weight or anything. Once you get to 0, you can crack it open and open up the so this can get stuck right here trying to, there we go. So this should just come off like this. I like to crack it just a little bit like this so it can equalize, and so the pressure inside can equalize with the pressure outside. So basically I like to take it off like that. I'll just let it sit there just for a couple of minutes, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and then you can start taking out the jars here. Just lift them up like this. So we just pull them out of the canner, put them over here on a towel, and if you heard that noise there, that's the sound of the jar sealing. That's the magical sound that every canner wants to hear. Grab them like this, put them over here. So these are all the beans that she's canned today. All I'm doing is just taking them out because she left and she wanted me to do this for her. So with this canner, there's 2 layers of beans or 2 layers of bottles. And so the first layer will hold 7, and then you put this thing down like this, and then you can put another 7 in there, which is really awesome. So just continue to pull these out of here. Just be really careful with these. Don't want to bump them and bruise them. They're under pressure, so just be careful as you pull them out of there. Then you're looking to hear that noise, that popping noise that you just heard. That's the sound of the can sealing. There goes another one. So that's the sound of success with those bottles. This one looks a little bit risky to me. See this one right here? How the water level's way down. This one would likely want to eat sooner rather than later, and that one likely may not seal. You can see here these are still boiling and bubbling inside the jar here. Very, very hot. So she's bottled 42 pints or 21 quarts, and these need to sit for a good day or so. Just sit there, come to room temperature, and seal. They should all seal, hopefully. When you hear that popping noise, that's the sound of the lid sealing, sucking down. So that's how we can the beans, and we generally will eat these all year long. They're awesome. They taste good. They're farm fresh, grown organically in our garden, and it's an awesome time. And it's great food for later on in that dead of winter.